Welcome to Chik Chat, the podcast where the girl with many titles talks about life, the good and the bad, and everything around it. We're going to sit, chat, share life stories and experiences, from business to relationship. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chik Chat podcast. So, just to give you a bit of background before I get started, because this is now not going to be a very long podcast, I sat and recorded a whole podcast, went back to check, and something happened to the sound, and I'm hoping, no, it's carried on, that's fine. I'm so paranoid now, but the sound cut out, and then for some reason the video cut out halfway as well. So let's try again. Now, do you know what? I can't remember what I wanted to kind of talk about, like making decisions, but I think what's happened tonight has kind of just made me realise that not only did I talk myself through the decision I need to make, I've now made, I have kind of made a decision. So I originally wanted to start off by talking about like just how quickly life changes and the excitement of like being booked and busy, which is brilliant, but being booked and busy, the busy part is, especially when you're trying to like live the cushy soft lifestyle, I suppose, because it's just not it's not always the one, depending on what you're doing and like how aligned it is. So I'll quickly get started with my challenge of the week. And to be fair, my challenge of the week has just been trying to navigate myself by not being too involved in the business, but then like training my new member of staff. I had one of my editors is still ill, so that's kind of just brought up a few just different bits that, yeah, it's a bit of a headache. However, I am kind of looking at things now as well by saying maybe this just means that I need to get someone in like a managerial position within the business so that I'm not having to like stress about some of these things, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, I wanted to talk about like making decisions, and I suppose I wanted to have this as a podcast because I think, especially if you're like the oldest child, if there are expectations on you as a person, if you are the child of an immigrant, then you are not used to failure, or failure for you looks completely different to what it does to other people. And I've noticed, this started because I am so blessed and lucky to be in a position where like I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to turn some clients away, but I have focused on really working on like what I offer as a service and turning that into making more money. So one of the things I've realised is actually my offering as a consultant is ridiculous, because not only am I helping people get to where they want to be, I'm doing it myself. So I help like 6 and 7 figure business owners find a way to make their brand make them money whilst they sleep, basically. And I need to kind of like refine this. However, what I noticed was that I work with all these like high level entrepreneurs where they do so many different things, but there's no overlap. And it's like, well, if you're a brand and you're a personal brand and you want people to know, you can't do everything. So you can't be posting all these different pages. And even if you are telling people what to post, you've just got to trust that people are doing the right thing. Whereas these people I work with, once you get to know them, you get to realise that actually you can utilise a personal brand to making you more money. And when you do that, what's going to happen? You're making money in your sleep. People are DMing you deals, depending on what you want to work doing. There are brands that are wanting to work with you because all of a sudden the landscape of what an influencer looks like is now starting to change. It's completely different, and there are influencers in the construction field, in the property field, in beauty, in business, in all these areas. And when I look to me becoming busy, my whole aim is, as me and G look to settling down, I need to know that I can take time away from the business, let's say to have a child, and it's going to keep running, and it doesn't need me to keep it running day to day. And when I look at the podcast, obviously I started the podcast as a passion project because I wanted to learn quite a lot. But when I started this 30-day project on TikTok for #ProjectPTC, post that content, I started a page for me and G, and that page has made me realise that actually as I build out our brands, and I'm practicing what I'm preaching, but for us, and I'm showing people step by step every day what I'm doing to get there, it's made me realise that like me and G want to start a podcast, and we've got a great idea and theme for doing that, and it's very on brand for us as well. However, that's not going to be every week, because doing this every week, especially like this isn't the first time I've had to re-record, it's stressful. We are looking at like the types of products that we can have, because again, I want to be able to wake up and know that I've made certain money because people are ordering stuff or people are booking. Like these power hours that I do are actually helping me earn extra money by getting the people that I know are gonna like have shared values, and then turn that into extra paid work. I'm retaining clients in a better way than before. But I've looked at that and gone, I need to take a step back from some of the things I'm doing, because I'm struggling to like even just post stories on Instagram. I know that I could easily now become burnt out trying to manage everything that I'm currently doing. So does that mean that maybe the podcast is going to be seasonal? Maybe it is. I'm not sure quite how I'm going to do it yet, but I think there are just some things that it's very clear right now that as I'm booked and busy, I've proven that I can do it all. I do it as a passion, but the focus is now to pay off debts, to be financially secure, to get to a place where I can turn around and say, yeah, like I want to have a kid and everything's going to be okay. Where like me and G have been talking about, like G wants to be the stay-at-home parent, that this is going to be the business that sustains us, but it's so multifaceted. And I suppose in terms of what I'm saying, like working with these 6 and 7 figure business owners, I'm the first guinea pig, because I am multi-passionate and I do so much that if I can make all of this work for me, and we're getting on TV, we're getting offered like work to do with brand, I'm building something out with G where I know that that's going to turn into its own thing and that's going to bring money in, then yeah, the proof is in the pudding. I am doing it. So like I was saying, I think when you are the child, like the oldest child or an immigrant or anything like that, the way that we look at success is so different. But I was having a conversation with the Leaning girls at the weekend, and we had I had such a lovely weekend. It was a bank holiday. Me and G started off the weekend by going to Antrim, going to Third Day Coffee and having brunch. We've enjoyed the sun on Saturday. My Irish nana went to mum and dad, so I went and picked her up. We spent the day with her, and then I went and met the girls. Sunday, mum and dad came over to ours, and when I was talking to the girls, we were talking about the fact that actually most of us are so busy that we don't take the time to sit and like focus on goals, be delusional about like our vision boards, and it gets to a point where you really think that you need all these things to be happy, like a lot of money to be happy, a lot of things to be happy. But actually, when like I've sat and done loads of like little mini exercises with G's, I'm trying to work out kind of like where I want to be moving forward, and I realised that actually it's a simple pleasures in life that we want. Having a cleaner, we've ticked that off the list. Like that's mine hugely, because all of a sudden now I'm back to enjoying cleaning. I love like organising the house. I'm switching around like the rooms, working things out. I'm talking about like, because that's giving me more time, I've talked about going to the gym, which is maybe starting Pilates, yoga. So excited about that. But yeah, Jesus, he wants to be able to just treat himself to nice coffee from Established or Third Day Coffee, and it's like 15 quid, which you'd be like, oh, 15 quid, but that makes him happy. And it's these little things where it's like, actually, if we can sustain our lives, because ultimately now, all we wanted, like, all I want specifically, I'm the one that wants to upsize, but all we want is a home where we're comfortable, to not be in debt, to be financially stable, to build generational wealth, and we can do a lot of that stuff without being in a stupidly bigger house. We can plan to move to a bigger house and do all this in the future, but right now, we're exactly where we need to be. And if I'd have just carried on, like, going and trying to like hit the next target, would I have realised half of these things? Probably not. And even now where I'm looking at taking a break, like I've realised that I think I want to go back to baking again and having those businesses, but I'm not going to start it in a way where it's going to stress me out. I want to start it in a way where, like, if I get a new client on, we send them a gift, and that gift includes maybe local products, and there's like a cake in the jar or a baking mix that they can do with their kids, that type of stuff. And yeah, I suppose this podcast for me is just to let other people know that are scared to pivot in business, to pivot in their jobs, to pivot in life. You don't have to have it all figured out. And when you sit and you think about the things that you are grateful for, you'll realise that actually it's not the end of the world if you decide you're not going to do something, or it's not the end of the world if you decide that you're going to take a bit of a break to do something. You can still figure it out. You can still go back to what you do want to do. So ultimately, yes, I gave myself loads of advice on the podcast you'll never get to hear, but yeah, just being able to reiterate that to myself, and to the fact that I'm building something I'm so proud of. I'm getting to focus on creating content because that's what I love. The clients I'm working with are the clients that will happily pay me thousands of pounds to work with me in a month. And I'm like, it's wild to even think about. And the fact that I've had to shift my mindset and know that I am worthy of this type of work because I'm good at what I do. I'm good at creating connections. I'm good at working with people. And I'm excited to see kind of where that takes us in the future and even where I decide to pivot this. So yeah, I suppose I've kind of skipped in the middle. How am I doing? Mentally, I'm doing great. I'm feeling a bit like tired and burnt out, but not in a bad way. So I think I'm going to focus on, like I've said, kind of looking at where I am within the business, looking to see if I do need that final member of the team that I didn't think I needed last week, and also looking to see where this money's coming from in terms of like getting us financially stable, getting us to build generational wealth, and seeing all of that and seeing kind of where that's going to fit in with like my podcast, with social media, with the stuff that I am doing as well as the stuff I'm doing for clients. Because no matter what, working on many accounts is tiring. Doing it then for yourself is even more tiring. And whilst I'm trying to do this for like my TikTok, my page, and like mine and G's page, it's a lot. And I don't want to get myself to a point where I dislike what I'm doing. Like, I love what I do so much. So yeah, keep a lookout for what we are planning on doing in the future and Project PTC, because as far as I go, I'm like, we're halfway through. It's just really exciting to see how quickly we've built out the brand, and it's making me clearer on the type of stuff that I want to talk about, the type of content that I want to create with G versus the type of content I want to create separately as well. So yeah, I suppose that's even like my win of the week. My win of the week was taking time off, but also realising that I can take a bit of a step back right now to kind of figure out what I want to do next. And if I want to take a break, it's okay to take a break. But as long as I figure out what I am going to do, that's all right. I'll come back bigger and better. I've done all this. I've just jumped straight into it. So taking a week or two to figure out the rest and having a breather, I'm not going to die. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where we are next week or in a couple of weeks, depending on whether I am back. But yeah, thank you as always for everyone that does listen, because it's just motivated me so much, and it's changed a lot of how I also see my life and business. Like, I've done a lot of internal work anyway that I've talked about, but to be able to see that now coming to fruition is just really exciting for me. So thank you for being part of that journey, and I will hopefully see you sometime soon, either on here, on my channels, or on mine and G's new podcast whenever that does come out. Bye!